Hey, what's up? Robert here, coming at you with another Photoshop tutorial, this time showing you how to smooth out your skin using sort of an airbrush technique here in Photoshop. So let's take a look at what we're going to be creating today. Here's our before image. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see all the texture and the detail. And then here's our after image. And you can see it smoothed out the skin nicely without making her look like she belongs in packaging on a store shelf with the words Barbie written all over her. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to open up the fresh JPEG image here, and I'm going to go ahead and start off by duplicating this background image by clicking and dragging it down to the new layer icon, or hitting Ctrl J on your keyboard. And then I'm going to actually rename this layer to blur, and then hit Ctrl G on my keyboard, and what that did was it added this blur layer into a new group, which we're going to rename this group to airbrush. And then I wonder what I'm going to do to this blur layer. Maybe I'm going to add a blur, so I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, Surface Blur, and we're going to add a blur. I'm actually going to go over here to her eyes, and you can preview it here, and then I got a close-up of her eye here. And what you want to do is select a radius that will be enough for the photo, but not too much to where it blurs out the eye. And then bring the threshold down. I'm going to set it at around maybe 18. Click OK, and that looks pretty good for now. Now I'm going to add another new layer, and we're going to rename this layer Texture. Now what this layer is going to do is it's going to add a texture to the face here so it doesn't look like plastic. So I'm going to actually work with this photo kind of zoomed in like this. And it's better to have sort of a high resolution photo that you can zoom in really closely to, so you can smooth out all the details and so on. So the first thing I want to do is fill this texture layer with a 50% gray. So I'm going to go to Edit, Fill, use 50% gray, Mode Normal, Opacity 100%, click OK. Oh, now it's gray. What happened? We're going to change the blending mode of this texture layer from normal to hard light, and now we're back to normal. Next thing I'm going to do is go to Filter, Noise, and we're going to add some noise. Only about 3% though. Distribution Gaussian and monochromatic is checked. Click OK, and when we zoom in, you can see that maybe it's a little bit too much noise. So we're going to blur this noise down, kind of reduce it with the Gaussian blur. So Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and just at 1 pixel. Click OK. Looking pretty good. Now we're going to come over here to the eyedropper tool. It's a tool we hardly ever use. I almost forgot where it was. And we're going to take a sample of her face. I'm just going to take one from right here. And you can see it shows up in our foreground color and over here in our color palette. Now you want to make sure your color palette is open. And if it's not, you can go to Window, Color, or hit F6 on your keyboard. Now over here you can see that it's an RGB color. And we want to change this to hue, saturation, and brightness. So we can come over here, click this little down arrow, choose HSB sliders. You might not be able to see it, so I'll bring this out. Down arrow, HSB sliders. And now we have HSB, hue, saturation, and brightness here of the color that we chose. So I can bring this back in here. And with the texture layer selected, I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Hue, Saturation, and then choose Colorize. Pick the colors, 12, 32, and bring this up. Not too much, but I'm going to bring the lightness up to around 60. Click OK. Now what we want to do is select our airbrush group, the entire group here, and we want to add a mask. But we're not going to add a mask from down here. We're actually going to go to Layer, Layer Mask, Hide All. And what that does is it creates a new layer mask that's black, and it actually hides everything. So with the white brush tool, we're going to be able to add things to our image, in which we're going to do right now. So select the brush tool. Make sure your foreground color is set to white. Choose a decent sized brush, hardness at 50%. And you might need to adjust these depending on the different corners you get on the photo and how hard it is to maneuver around different things such as the eyebrows and eyes. Set the mode to normal, opacity at 100%, flow at 100%, and we're just going to simply zoom in here to probably around 100%, and then paint in that white. Now you're going to see a big difference. You're probably like, whoa, that looks like a lot, but don't worry, it's okay. It's okay. decrease the size here a little bit. And if you make a mistake, you can always choose the black foreground color and erase that out. And as always, you can use your right and left bracket keys to increase or decrease the brush size. And if you need to increase or decrease the hardness or softness, you can do so by holding down the shift key, then using the right and left bracket keys. Alright, well there it is. By now you're probably like, whoa, what happened to her? It's okay, we're going to fix this here right now by adjusting the color of this texture. So we're going to select the texture layer, go to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation, or hit Ctrl U to bring it up quicker. This time we're not going to colorize it. And we're just going to sort of adjust the hue, saturation, and lightness here a little bit. Just to kind of, you know, bring her back to normal. Once that's done, click OK. And that looks pretty good. So now the final step we're going to do is bring back some of her facial features. So we're going to select the entire airbrush group here. And we're going to go to Image, Apply Image. And we're going to choose Airbrush, Merged. Change the channel from RGB to red. Leave the blending mode at multiply. Opacity 100%. Click OK. And there you have it. Some nice smooth looking skin done in Photoshop. Here's our before and our after. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at Rob's Productions. Visit the site robertsproductions.net. Like me on Facebook. If you have any questions or requests, go ahead and leave a comment below or follow the links in the description. And as always, you can subscribe for free weekly tutorials just like this one. I hope this helped. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.
That was easy.
Yeah, it was.